Cleaner's daughter spoke up at the altar, and in that single moment, the fairy tale wedding collapsed. The billionaire groom stood frozen, his ring slipping from his fingers as whispers rippled through the grand cathedral. Guests gasped, cameras clicked, and all eyes turned not to the radiant bride, but to a young girl from the back row whose voice had shattered the illusion of perfection. What she revealed in those trembling words was more powerful than vows, more devastating than betrayal. And within seconds, the billionaire canceled the wedding instantly, leaving the world stunned and his life forever changed. The billionaire was a man the city admired, envied, and feared in equal measure. His face was splashed across business magazines, his empire stretched across industries, and his mansion glittered above the skyline like a crown. To outsiders, he was untouchable, but privately he longed for what money couldn't buy: companionship. When he met a woman from his own circle of wealth and prestige, it seemed like destiny. She was beautiful, graceful, and charming. The engagement was swift, and soon the wedding was declared the event of the year. Inside his mansion, preparations consumed every corner. Florists, planners, chefs, everyone worked tirelessly to deliver perfection. Staff moved like shadows, unseen yet essential. Among them was the cleaner, a black woman who had served the household faithfully for years. She rarely spoke unless spoken to, her presence erased by habit and necessity. Yet she carried with her a daughter, bright-eyed, sharp, and observant, who sometimes helped her mother after school. The girl lived in two worlds, one of wealth's glittering illusion and one of survival's sharp reality. And from that position she saw things others missed. She noticed how the bride-to-be treated the staff when the billionaire wasn't looking, snapping at servers, belittling assistants, dismissing workers with a coldness that dripped superiority. She overheard conversations meant to stay hidden, calls about debts, whispered plots to manipulate accounts, comments about marrying not for love, but for power. Each clue built a picture darker than any child should carry. She confided in her mother, but years of experience had taught the cleaner a hard truth. Voices like theirs weren't believed when raised against people with wealth and whiteness as armor. Silence to her was safety, but her daughter could not accept silence when truth pressed so heavily on her chest. The day of the wedding dawned with splendor. The cathedral glowed with candles, its walls lined with white roses. Guests in designer suits and gowns filled the pews, murmuring about how perfect the couple looked together. The billionaire stood at the altar, polished and proud, ready to seal a union he believed would complete his life. The bride glided down the aisle, her veil catching the light, her smile flawless. The vows began, voices echoing in the vaulted ceiling. Everything seemed perfect, until the pause before "I do." That was when the cleaner's daughter stood, her voice trembling at first but growing stronger with each word. She spoke of what she had seen, of the cruelty hidden behind the bride's charm, of the conversations overheard that revealed manipulation and greed. She told the guests, and the billionaire himself, that this was not love, but a trap. Her words sliced through the grandeur like a blade. The bride's face darkened, her polished mask slipping. Gasps filled the air. Some dismissed the girl immediately, racism whispering in their judgments. What weight could the words of a cleaner's child carry against the radiant bride? But then silence fell as all eyes turned to the groom. The climax struck like thunder. The billionaire looked at the woman beside him and for the first time saw past the veil of beauty. He remembered the small cruelties he had brushed aside, the subtle cracks in her charm, the way his staff never quite met her gaze. He looked at the girl, young, nervous, yet brave enough to speak truth in a room designed to silence her. In that moment, clarity overcame illusion. With deliberate calm, he lowered the ring, turned from the altar, and canceled the wedding instantly. The cathedral erupted into chaos, guests whispering, cameras flashing, the bride's voice shrieking with fury. The fairy tale shattered, but so did the lie. In the days that followed, headlines screamed of scandal. Some painted the girl as an intruder, others hailed her as a hero. But for the billionaire, the noise didn't matter. What haunted him was not just betrayal, but blindness. the realization that he had nearly surrendered his life to someone who saw him as a prize, while ignoring the quiet truth witnessed by those society trains us to overlook. He understood now that privilege doesn't just blind, it silences. The cleaner had known fear of speaking. Her daughter, unshackled by that fear, had spoken anyway. And in doing so, she had saved him from a mistake greater than any financial loss. The billionaire chose to act differently from that day forward. He didn't repay the girl with gifts or empty praise. He chose change. He instituted reforms in his businesses, creating spaces for staff voices to be heard without fear. He invested in scholarships for workers' children, knowing brilliance often hides where opportunity is denied. He made dignity a condition of his empire, not a favor. His peers mocked him, some whispered that he had gone soft, but he no longer cared. He had seen where silence leads. The cleaner's daughter returned to her life with quiet pride. She hadn't sought recognition, only truth. Her courage became a quiet story whispered among staff, proof that even the smallest voice can disrupt the grandest illusion. The billionaire never forgot. He owed not just his freedom from betrayal, but his new clarity to a child who dared to speak when no one else would. If a single voice can stop a lie at the altar, what might happen if we all chose to speak when injustice stands before us? The next time truth trembles inside you, will you stay silent, or will you let it be heard?